Joseph Dyer, The Romance of Tristan and Isolde. Part the third, The Little Fairy Bell. When Tristan had come back to Ori's hut and had loosened his heavy pilgrim's cape, he saw clearly in his heart that it was time to keep his oath to King Mark and to fly the land. 3 days yet he tarried, because he could not drag himself away from that earth. But on the 4th day he thanked the woodman and said to Gorvenal, "Master, the hour is come." And he went into Wales, into the land of the great Duke Gilline, who was young, powerful, and frank in spirit, and welcomed him nobly as a God-sent guest. And he did everything to give him honor and joy. But he found that neither adventure nor feast could soothe what Tristan suffered. One day, as he sat by the young duke's side, his spirit weighed upon him, so that not knowing it he groaned, and the duke, to soothe him, ordered into his private room a fairy thing, which pleased his eyes when he was sad and relieved his own heart. It was a dog, and the varlets brought it in to him, and they put it upon a table there. Now this dog was a fairy dog, and came from the Duke of Avalon, for a fairy had given it him as a love gift, and no one can well describe its kind or beauty. And it bore at its neck, hung to a little chain of gold, a little bell, and that tinkled so gaily, and so clear and so soft, that as Tristan heard it, he was soothed, and his anguish melted away, and he forgot all that he had suffered for the queen. For such was the virtue of the bell, and such its property, that whosoever heard it, he lost all pain. And as Tristan stroked the little fairy thing, the dog that took away his sorrow, he saw how delicate it was and fine, and how it had soft hair like samite, and he thought how good a gift it would make for the queen. But he dared not ask for it right out, since he knew that the Duke loved this dog beyond everything in the world, and would yield it to no prayers, nor to wealth, nor to wile. So one day Tristan, having made a plan in his mind, said this, "Lord, what would you give to the man who could rid your land of the hairy giant Urgan that levies such a toll? Truly, the victor might choose what he would, but none will dare." Then said Tristan, "Those are strange words, for good comes to no land save by risk and daring, and not for all the gold of Milan would I renounce my desire to find him in his wood and bring him down." Then Tristan went out to find Urgan in his lair, and they fought hard and long, till courage conquered strength, and Tristan, having cut off the giant's hand, bore it back to the Duke. "And, sire," said he, "since I may choose a reward according to your word, give me the little fairy dog. It was for that I conquered Urgan, and your promise stands." "Friend," said the Duke, "take it, then, but in taking it you take away also all my joy." Then Tristan took the little fairy dog and gave it in ward to a Welsh harper, who was cunning, and who bore it to Cornwall till he came to Tintagel, and having come there put it secretly into Brangien's hands. And the queen was so pleased that she gave 10 marks of gold to the harper. But she put about that the Queen of Ireland, her mother, had sent the beast, and she had a goldsmith work a little kennel for him, all jeweled, and encrusted with gold and enamel inlaid. And wherever she went she carried the dog with her in memory of her friend, and as she watched it, sadness and anguish and regrets melted out of her heart. At first she did not guess the marvel, but thought her consolation was because the gift was Tristan's, till one day she found that it was fairy, and that it was the little bell that charmed her soul. Then she thought, "What have I to do with comfort, since he is sorrowing? He could have kept it too, and have forgotten his sorrow. But with high courtesy he sent it to me, to give me his joy, and to take up his pain again. Friend, while you suffer, so long will I suffer also." And she took the magic bell, and shook it just a little, and then by the open window she threw it into the sea. Iseult of the White Hands. Apart the lovers could neither live nor die, for it was life and death together. And Tristan fled his sorrow through seas and islands and many lands. He fled his sorrow still by seas and islands, till at last he came back to his land of Lyonesse. And there Morholt, the keeper of faith, welcomed him with happy tears and called him son. But he could not live in the peace of his own land. And he turned again and rode through kingdoms and through baronies, seeking adventure. From the Lyonesse to the lowlands, from the lowlands on to the Germanies, through the Germanies and into Spain. And many lords he served, and many deeds did, but for 2 years no news came to him out of Cornwall, nor friend, nor messenger. Then he thought that Iseult had forgotten. Now it happened one day that, riding with Gorvenal alone, he came into the land of Brittany. They rode through a wasted plain of ruined walls and empty hamlets and burnt fields everywhere, and the earth deserted of men. And Tristan thought, I am weary, and my deeds profit me nothing. My lady is far off, and I shall never see her again. Or why for 2 years has she made no sign? Or why has she sent no messenger to find me as I wandered? But in Tintagel Mark honors her, and she gives him joy, and that little fairy bell has done a thorough work. For little she remembers or cares for the joys and the mourning of old, little from me, as I wander in this desert place. I too will forget. On the third day, at the hour of noon, Tristan and Gorvenal came near a hill where an old chantry stood, and close by a hermitage also. And Tristan asked what wasted land that was, and the hermit answered, Lord, it is Breton land which Duke Hod holds, and once it was rich in pasture and plough land, but Count Rial of Nantes has wasted it. For you must know that this Count Rial was the Duke's vassal. And the Duke has a daughter, fair among all kings' daughters, and Count Rial would have taken her to wife. But her father refused her to a vassal, and Count Rial would have carried her away by force. Many men have died in that quarrel. And Tristan asked, Can the Duke wage his war? And the hermit answered, Hardly, my lord. Yet his last keep of Carhaix holds out still, for the walls are strong, and strong is the heart of the Duke's son Caherdin, a very good knight and bold. But the enemy surrounds them on every side and starves them. Very hardly do they hold their castle. Then Tristan asked, How far is this keep of Carhaix? Sir, said the hermit, it is but 2 miles further on this way. Then Tristan and Gorvenal lay down, for it was evening. In the morning, when they had slept, and when the hermit had chanted, and had shared his black bread with them, Tristan thanked him and rode hard to Carhaix. And as he halted beneath the fast high walls, he saw a little company of men behind the battlements. And he asked if the Duke were there with his son Caherdin. Now Hod was among them. And when he cried yes, Tristan called up to him and said, I am that Tristan, king of Lyonesse, and Mark of Cornwall is my uncle. I have heard that your vassals do you a wrong, and I have come to offer you my arms. Alas, Lord Tristan, go you your way alone, and God reward you. For here within we have no more food, no wheat or meat or any stores, but only lentils and a little oats remaining. But Tristan said, For 2 years I dwelt in a forest, eating nothing save roots and herbs. Yet I found it a good life, so open you the door. They welcomed him with honor, and Caherdin showed him the wall and the dungeon keep with all their devices, and from the battlements he showed the plain where far away gleamed the tents of Duke Rial. And when they were down in the castle again, he said to Tristan, Friend, let us go to the hall where my mother and sister sit. So, holding each other's hands, they came into the women's room, where the mother and the daughter sat together weaving gold upon English cloth and singing a weaving song. They sang of Isolde the Fair who sits alone beneath the white thorn, and round about her blows the wind. She waits for Dune, her friend, but he tarries long and does not come. This was the song they sang. And Tristan bowed to them, and they to him. Then Caherdin, showing the work his mother did, said, See, friend Tristan, what a workwoman is here, and how marvelously she adorns stoles and chasubles for the poor minsters, and how my sister's hands run thread of gold upon this cloth. Of right, good sister, are you called Iseult of the White Hands. But Tristan, hearing her name, smiled and looked at her more gently. And on the morrow, Tristan, Caherdin, and 12 young knights left the castle and rode to a pine wood near the enemy's tents, and sprang from ambush and captured a wagon of Count Rial's food. And from that day, by escapade and ruse they would carry tents and convoys and kill off men, nor ever come back without some booty, so that Tristan and Caherdin began to be brothers in arms, and kept faith and tenderness, as history tells. And as they came back from these rides, talking chivalry together, often did Caherdin praise to his comrade his sister, Iseult of the White Hands, for her simplicity and beauty. One day, as the dawn broke, a sentinel ran from the tower through the halls, crying, Lords, you have slept too long. Rise, for an assault is on. And knights and burgesses armed, and ran to the walls, and saw helmets shining on the plain, and pennons streaming crimson, like flames, and all the host of Rial in its array. Then the Duke and Caherdin deployed their horsemen before the gates, and from a bow length off they stooped, and spurred, and charged, and they put their lances down together, and the arrows fell on them like April rain. Now Tristan had armed himself among the last of those the sentinel had roused, and he laced his shoes of steel, and put on his mail, and his spurs of gold, his hauberk, and his helm over the gorget, and he mounted and spurred, with shield on breast, crying, Carhe! And as he came, he saw Duke Rial charging, rein free, at Caherdin, but Tristan came in between. So they met, Tristan and Duke Rial. And at the shock, Tristan's lance shivered, but Rial's lance struck Tristan's horse just where the breastpiece runs, and laid it on the field. But Tristan, standing, drew his sword, his burnished sword, and said, Coward, here is death ready for the man that strikes the horse before the rider. But Rial answered, I think you have lied, my lord. And he charged him. And as he passed, Tristan let fall his sword so heavily upon his helm that he carried away the crest and the nasal. But the sword slipped on the mailed shoulder, and glanced on the horse, and killed it, so that a forced Duke Rial must slip the stirrup, and leap and feel the ground. Then Rial too was on his feet, and they both fought hard in their broken mail, their scutcheons torn and their helmets loosened and lashing with their dented swords, till Tristan struck Rial just where the helmet buckles, and it yielded, and the blow was struck so hard that the baron fell on hands and knees. But when he had risen again, Tristan struck him down once more with a blow that split the helm, and it split the headpiece too, and touched the skull. Then Rial cried mercy, and begged his life, and Tristan took his sword. So he promised to enter Duke Hol's keep, and to swear homage again, and to restore what he had wasted. And by his order the battle ceased, and his host went off discomfited. Now, when the victors were returned, Caherdin said to his father, Sire, keep you Tristan. There is no better knight, and your land has need of such courage. So when the Duke had taken counsel with his barons, he said to Tristan, Friend, I owe you my land, but I shall be quit with you if you will take my daughter, Iseult of the White Hands, who comes of kings and of queens, and of dukes before them in blood. And Tristan answered, I will take her, sire. So the day was fixed, and the Duke came with his friends, and Tristan with his. And before all, at the gate of the minster, Tristan wed Iseult of the White Hands, according to the church's law. But that same night, as Tristan's valets undressed him, it happened that in drawing his arm from the sleeve, they drew off and let fall from his finger the ring of green jasper, the ring of Isolde the Fair. It sounded on the stones, and Tristan looked and saw it. Then his heart awoke, and he knew that he had done wrong. For he remembered the day when Isolde the Fair had given him the ring. It was in that forest where, for his sake, she had led the hard life with him. And that night he saw again the hut in the wood of Morholt, and he was bitter with himself that ever he had accused her of treason. For now it was he that had betrayed, and he was bitter with himself also in pity for this new wife and her simplicity and beauty. See how these two Iseults had met him in an evil hour, and of both had he broken faith. Now Isolde of the White Hands said to him, hearing him sigh, Dear Lord, have I hurt you in anything? Will you not speak me a single word? But Tristan answered, Friend, do not be angry with me. For once in another land I fought a foul dragon and was near to death, and I thought of the Mother of God, and I made a vow to her that, should I ever wed, I would spend the first holy nights of my wedding in prayer and in silence. Why, said Iseult, that was a good vow. And Tristan watched through the night. The madness of Tristan. Within her room at Tintagel, Iseult the Fair sighed for the sake of Tristan, and named him her desire, of whom for 2 years she had had no word, whether he lived or no. Within her room at Tintagel, Iseult the Fair sat singing a song she had made. She sang of Guiron taken and killed for his love, and how by guile the count gave Guiron's heart to her to eat, and of her woe. The queen sang softly, catching the harp's tone. Her hands were cunning and her song good. She sang low down and softly. Then came in Cariadu, a rich count from a far-off island, that had fared to Tintagel to offer the queen his service, and had spoken of love to her, though she disdained his folly. He found Iseult as she sang, and laughed to her, "Lady, how sad a song! As sad as the ospreys. Do they not say he sings for death? And your song means that to me, I die for you." And Iseult said, "So let it be, and may it mean so. For never come you here but to stir in me anger or mourning. Ever were you the screech owl or the osprey that boded ill when you spoke of Tristan? What news bear you now?" And Cariadu answered, "You are angered, I know not why, but who heeds your words? Let the osprey bode me death. Here is the evil news the screech owl brings. Lady Iseult, Tristan, your friend, is lost to you. He is wed in a far land. So seek you otherwhere, for he mocks your love. He is wed in great pomp Iseult of the White Hands, the king of Brittany's daughter." And Cariadu went off in anger, but Iseult bowed her head and broke into tears. Now far from Iseult, Tristan languished, till on a day he must needs see her again. Far from her, death came surely, and he had rather die at once than day by day. And he desired some death, but that the queen might know it was in finding her. Then would death come easily. So he left Carhaix secretly, telling no man, neither his kindred nor even Caherdin, his brother in arms. He went in rags afoot, for no one marks the beggar on the high road, till he came to the shore of the sea. He found in a haven a great ship ready. The sail was up, and the anchor chained short at the bow. "God save you, my lords," he said, "and send you a good journey. To what land sail you now?" "To Tintagel," they said. Then he cried out, "Oh, my lords, take me with you thither." And he went aboard, and a fair wind filled the sail, and she ran 5 days and nights for Cornwall, till on the 6th day they dropped anchor in Tintagel haven. The castle stood above, fenced all around. There was but the one-armed gate, and 2 knights watched it night and day. So Tristan went ashore and sat upon the beach, and a man told him that Mark was there and had just held his court. "But where," said he, "is Iseult, the queen, and her fair maid Brangian?" "In Tintagel too," said the other, "and I saw them lately. The queen's sad, as she always is." At the hearing of the name, Tristan suffered, and he thought that neither by guile nor courage could he see that friend, for Mark would kill him. And he thought, "Let him kill me, and let me die for her, since every day I die. But you, Iseult, even if you knew me here, would you not drive me out?" And he thought, "I will try guile. I will seem mad, but with a madness that shall be great wisdom. And many shall think me a fool that have less wit than I." Just then a fisherman passed in a rough cloak and cape, and Tristan, seeing him, took him aside and said, "Friend, will you not change clothes?" And as the fisherman found it a very good bargain, he said in answer, "Yes, friend, gladly." And he changed and ran off at once for fear of losing his gain. Then Tristan shaved his wonderful hair. He shaved it close to his head and left across all bald. And he rubbed his face with magic herbs distilled in his own country, and it changed in color and skin so that none could know him. And he made him a club from a young tree torn from a hedgerow, and hung it to his neck, and went barefoot towards the castle. The porter made sure that he had to do with a fool, and said, "Good morrow, fool, where have you been this long while?" And he answered, "At the abbot of St. Michael's wedding, and he wed an abbess, large and veiled. And from the Alps to Mount St. Michael how they came, the priests and abbots, monks and regulars, all dancing on the green with croziers and with staves under the high tree's shade. But I left them all to come hither, for I serve at the king's board today." Then the porter said, "Come in, Lord Fool, the Harry Ergin's son, I know, and like your father." And when he was within the courts, the serving men ran after him and cried, "The fool, the fool." But he made play with them, though they cast stones, and struck him as they laughed. And in the midst of laughter and their cries, as the rout followed him, he came to that hall where, at the queen's side, King Mark sat under his canopy. And as he neared the door with his club at his neck, the king said, "Here is a merry fellow. Let him in." And they brought him in, his club at his neck. And the king said, "Friend, well come. What seek you here?" "Iseult," said he, "whom I love so well. I bring my sister with me, Brunhild, the beautiful. Come, take her, you are weary of the queen." Take you my sister, and give me here Iseult, and I will hold her and serve you for her love." The king said, laughing, "Fool, if I gave you the queen, where would you take her, pray?" "Oh, very high," he said, "between the clouds and heaven, into a fair chamber glazed. The beams of the sun shine through it, yet the winds do not trouble it at all. There would I bear the queen into that crystal chamber of mine, all compact of roses and the morning." The king and his barons laughed and said, "Here is a good fool at no loss for words." But the fool, as he sat at their feet, gazed at Iseult most fixedly. "Friend," said King Mark, "what warrant have you that the queen would heed so foul a fool as you?" "Ooh, sire," he answered gravely, "many deeds have I done for her, and my madness is from her alone." "What is your name?" they said and laughed. "Tristan," said he, "that loved the queen so well, and still till death will love her." But at the name the queen angered and weakened together, and said, "Get hence for an evil fool." But the fool, marking her anger, went on, "Queen Iseult, do you mind the day when, poisoned by the Morholt spear, I took my harp to sea and fell upon your shore? Your mother healed me with strange drugs. Have you no memory, queen?" But Iseult answered, "Out, fool, out! Your folly, and you have passed the bounds." But the fool, still playing, pushed the barons out, crying, "Out, madman, out! Leave me to counsel with Iseult, since I come here for the love of her." And as the king laughed, Iseult blushed and said, "King, drive me forth this fool." But the fool still laughed and cried, "Queen, do you mind you of the dragon I slew in your land? I hid its tongue in my hose, and, burned of its venom, I fell by the roadside. Ah, what a night was I then, and it was you that succored me." Iseult replied, "Silence. You wrong all knighthood by your words, for you are a fool from birth. Cursed be the seamen that brought you hither. Rather should they have cast you into the sea." "Queen Iseult," he still said on, "do you mind you of your haste when you would have slain me with my own sword, and of the hair of gold, and of how I stood up to the seneschal?" "Silence," she said, "you drunkard. You were drunk last night, and so you dreamt these dreams." "Drunk, and still so am I," said he, "but of such a draught that never can the influence fade. Queen Iseult, do you mind you of that hot and open day on the high seas? We thirsted and we drank together from the same cup, and since that day have I been drunk with an awful wine." When the queen heard these words which she alone could understand, she rose and would have gone. But the king held her by her ermine cloak, and she sat down again. And as the king had his fill of the fool, he called for his falcons and went to hunt. And Iseult said to him, "Sire, I am weak and sad. Let me go rest in my room. I am tired of these follies." And she went to her room in thought, and sat upon her bed and mourned, calling herself a slave, and saying, "Why was I born? Brangian, dear sister, life is so hard to me that death were better. There's a fool without shaven crisscross, and come in an evil hour, and he is warlock, for he knows in every part myself and my whole life. He knows what you and I and Tristan only know." Then Brangian said, "It may be Tristan." "But no," said the queen, "for he was the first of knights, but this fool is foul and made awry. Curse me his hour and the ship that brought him hither." "My lady," said Brangian, "soothe you. You curse over much these days. Maybe he comes from Tristan? I cannot tell. I know him not. But go find him, friend, and see if you know him." So Brangian went to the hall where the fool still sat alone. Tristan knew her and let fall his club and said, "Brangian, dear Brangian, before God, have pity on me." "Foul fool," she answered, "what devil taught you my name?" "Lady," he said, "I have known it long. By my head, that once was fair. If I am mad, the blame is yours, for it was yours to watch over the wine we drank on the high seas. The cup was of silver, and I held it to Iseult, and she drank. Do you remember, lady?" "No," she said, and as she trembled and left, he called out, "Pity me." He followed and saw Iseult. He stretched out his arms, but in her shame, sweating agony, she drew back, and Tristan angered and said, "I have lived too long, for I have seen the day that Iseult will nothing of me." Iseult, how hard love dies! Iseult, a welling water that floods and runs large, is a mighty thing. On the day that it fails, it is nothing. So love that turns. But she said, Brother, I look at you and doubt and tremble, and I know you not for Tristan. Queen Iseult, I am Tristan indeed that do love you. Mind you for the last time of the dwarf, and of the flower, and of the blood I shed in my leap. Oh, and of that ring I took in kisses and in tears on the day we parted. I have kept that jasper ring and asked a counsel. Then Iseult knew Tristan for what he was, and she said, Heart, you should have broken of sorrow not to have known the man who has suffered so much for you. Pardon, my master and my friend. And her eyes darkened, and she fell. But when the light returned, she was held by him who kissed her eyes and her face. So passed they 3 full days. But on the third, 2 maids that watched them told the traitor in red. And he put spies well armed before the women's rooms. And when Tristan would enter, they cried, Back, fool! But he brandished his club laughing, and said, What? May I not kiss the queen who loves me and awaits me now? And they feared him for a mad fool, and he passed in through the door. Then, being with the queen for the last time, he held her in his arms and said, Friend, I must fly, for they are wondering. I must fly, and perhaps shall never see you more. My death is near, and far from you my death will come of desire. O friend, she said, fold your arms round me close, and strain me, so that our hearts may break, and our souls go free at last. Take me to that happy place of which you told me long ago, the fields whence none return, but where great singers sing their songs forever. Take me now. I will take you to the happy palace of the living queen. The time is near. We have drunk all joy and sorrow. The time is near. When it is finished, if I call you, will you come, my friend? Friend, said she, call me, and you know that I shall come. Friend, said he, God send you his reward. As he went out, the spies would have held him, but he laughed aloud and flourished his club and cried, Peace, gentlemen, I go and will not stay. My lady sends me to prepare that shining house I vowed her, of crystal and of rose shot through with morning. And as they cursed and drave him, the fool went leaping on his way. The death of Tristan. When he was come back to Brittany, to Carhaix, it happened that Tristan, riding to the aid of Caherdin his brother in arms, fell in an ambush and was wounded by a poisoned spear. And many doctors came, but none could cure him of the ill. And Tristan weakened and paled, and his bones showed. Then he knew that his life was going, and that he must die. And he had a desire to see once more Isolde the Fair, but he could not seek her, for the sea would have killed him in his weakness. And how could Isolde come to him? And sad, and suffering the poison, he awaited death. He called Caherdin secretly to tell him his pain, for they loved each other with a loyal love. And as he would have no one in the room, save Caherdin, nor even in the neighboring rooms, Isolde of the White Hands began to wonder. She was afraid and wished to hear, and she came back and listened at the wall by Tristan's bed. And as she listened, one of her maids kept watch for her. Now, within, Tristan had gathered up his strength, and had half risen, leaning against the wall, and Caherdin wept beside him. They wept their good comradeship, broken so soon, and their friendship. Then Tristan told Caherdin of his love for that other Isolde, and of the sorrow of his life. Fair friend and gentle, said Tristan, I am in a foreign land where I have neither friend nor cousin, save you, and you alone in this place have given me comfort. My life is going, and I wish to see once more Isolde the Fair. Ah, did I but know of a messenger who would go to her! For now I know that she will come to me. Caherdin, my brother in arms, I beg it of your friendship. Try this thing for me, and if you carry my word, I will become your liege, and I will cherish you beyond all other men. And as Caherdin saw Tristan broken down, his heart reproached him, and he said, Fair comrade, do not weep. I will do what you desire. Even if it were risk of death, I would do it for you. Nor no distress, nor anguish will let me from doing it according to my power. Give me the word you send, and I will make ready. And Tristan answered, Thank you, friend. This is my prayer. Take this ring. It is a sign between her and me. And when you come to her land, pass yourself at court for a merchant, and show her silken stuffs, but make so that she sees the ring, for then she will find some ruse by which to speak to you in secret. Then tell her that my heart salutes her. Tell her that she alone can bring me comfort. Tell her that if she does not come, I shall die. Tell her to remember our pastime and our great sorrows and all the joy there was in our loyal and tender love. And tell her to remember that draught we drank together on the high seas, for we drank our death together. Tell her to remember the oath I swore to serve a single love, for I have kept that oath. But behind the wall, Isolde of the White Hands heard all these things, and Tristan continued, "Hasten, my friend, and come back quickly, or you will not see me again. Take 40 days for your term, but come back with Isolde the Fair, and tell your sister nothing, or tell her that you seek some doctor. Take my fine ship and 2 sails with you, one white, one black. And as you return, if you bring Isolde, hoist the white sail, but if you bring her not, the black. Now I have nothing more to say, but God guide you and bring you back safe." With the first fair wind, Caherdin took the open, weighed anchor and hoisted sail, and ran with a light air and broke the seas. They bore rich merchandise with them, dyed silks of rare colors, enamel of Touraine, and wines of Poitou. For by this ruse Caherdin thought to reach Iseult. 8 days and nights they ran full sail to Cornwall. Now a woman's wrath is a fearful thing, and all men fear it, for according to her love, so will her vengeance be. And their love and their hate come quickly, but their hate lives longer than their love, and they will make play with love, but not with hate. So Isolde of the White Hands, who had heard every word, and who had so loved Tristan, waited her vengeance upon what she loved most in the world. But she hid it all, and when the doors were open again, she came to Tristan's bed and served him with food as a lover should, and spoke him gently, and kissed him on the lips, and asked him if Caherdin would soon return with one to cure him. But all day long she thought upon her vengeance. And Caherdin sailed and sailed till he dropped anchor in the haven of Tintagel. He landed and took with him a cloth of rare dye and a cup well chiseled and worked, and made a present of them to King Mark, and courteously begged of him his peace and safeguard that he might traffic in his land. And the king gave him his peace before all the men of his palace. Then Caherdin offered the queen a buckle of fine gold. "And queen," said he, "the gold is good." Then taking from his finger Tristan's ring, he put it side by side with the jewel and said, "See, O queen, the gold of the buckle is the finer gold. Yet that ring also has its worth." When Iseult saw what ring that was, her heart trembled and her color changed, and fearing what might next be said, she drew Caherdin apart near a window, as if to see and bargain the better. And Caherdin said to her, low down, "Lady, Tristan is wounded of a poisoned spear and is about to die. He sends you word that you alone can bring him comfort, and recalls to you the great sorrows that you bore together. Keep you the ring, it is yours." But Iseult answered, weakening, "Friend, I will follow you. Get ready your ship tomorrow at dawn." And on the morrow at dawn they raised anchor, stepped mast, and hoisted sail, and happily the bark left land. But at Carhaix Tristan lay and longed for Iseult's coming. Nothing now filled him any more, and if he lived it was only as awaiting her. And day by day he sent watchers to the shore to see if some ship came, and to learn the color of her sail. There was no other thing left in his heart. He had himself carried to the cliff of the Penmarks, where it overlooks the sea, and all the daylight long he gazed far off over the water. Hear now a tale most sad and pitiful to all who love. Already was Iseult near. Already the cliff of the Penmarks showed far away, and the ship ran heartily, when a storm wind rose on a sudden and grew, and struck the sail, and turned the ship all round about, and the sailors bore away, and sore against there while they ran before the wind. The wind raged, and big seas ran, and the air grew thick with darkness, and the ocean itself turned dark, and the rain drove in gusts. The yard snapped, and the sheet. They struck their sail, and ran with wind and water. In an evil hour they had forgotten to haul their pinnace aboard. It leapt in their wake, and a great sea broke it away. Then Iseult cried out, "God does not will that I should live to see him, my love, once, even one time more. God wills my drowning in this sea. Oh, Tristan, had I spoken to you, but once again, it is little I should have cared for a death come afterwards. But now, my love, I cannot come to you, for God so wills it, and that is the core of my grief. And thus the queen complained so long as the storm endured, but after 5 days it died down. Cohorton hoisted the white sail, right up to the very masthead with great joy, the white sail, that Tristan might know its color from afar. And already Cohorton saw Brittany far off like a cloud. Hardly were these things seen and done when a calm came, and the sea lay even and untroubled. The sail bellied no longer, and the sailors held the ship now up, now down, the tide, beating backwards and forwards in vain. They saw the shore afar off, but the storm had carried their boat away, and they could not land. On the third night, Iseult dreamt this dream, that she held at her lap a boar's head which befouled her skirts with blood. Then she knew that she would never see her lover again alive. Tristan was now too weak to keep his watch from the cliff of the Penmarks, and for many long days, within walls, far from the shore, he had mourned for Iseult because she did not come. Dolorous and alone, he mourned and sighed in restlessness. He was near death from desire. At last the wind freshened and the white sail showed. Then it was that Iseult of the white hands took her vengeance. She came to where Tristan lay, and she said, "Friend, Cohorton is here. I have seen his ship upon the sea. She comes up hardly, yet I know her. May he bring that which shall heal thee, friend." And Tristan trembled and said, "Beautiful friend, you are sure that the ship is his indeed? Then tell me, what is the manner of the sail? I saw it plain and well. They have shaken it out and hoisted it very high, for they have little wind. For its color, why, it is black." And Tristan turned him to the wall and said, "I cannot keep this life of mine any longer." He said 3 times, "Iseult, my friend," and in saying it the 4th time, he died. Then throughout the house, the knights and the comrades of Tristan wept out loud, and they took him from his bed and laid him on a rich cloth, and they covered his body with a shroud. But at sea the wind had risen. It struck the sail fair and full and drove the ship to shore, and Isolde the Fair set foot upon the land. She heard loud mourning in the streets, and the tolling of bells in the minsters and the chapel towers. She asked the people the meaning of the knell and of their tears. An old man said to her, "Lady, we suffer a great grief. Tristan, that was so loyal and so right, is dead. He was open to the poor. He ministered to the suffering. It is the chief evil that has ever fallen on this land." But Iseult, hearing them, could not answer them a word. She went up to the palace, following the way, and her cloak was random and wild. The Bretons marveled as she went, nor had they ever seen woman of such a beauty, and they said, "Who is she? Or whence does she come?" Near Tristan, Isolde of the white hands crouched, maddened at the evil she had done, and calling and lamenting over the dead man. The other Iseult came in and said to her, "Lady, rise and let me come by him. I have more right to mourn him than have you. Believe me, I loved him more." And when she had turned to the east and prayed God, she moved the body a little and laid down by the dead man, beside her friend. She kissed his mouth and his face and clasped him closely, and so gave up her soul and died beside him of grief for her lover. When King Mark heard of the death of these lovers, he crossed the sea and came into Brittany. And he had 2 coffins hewn for Tristan and Iseult, one of chalcedony for Iseult, and one of beryl for Tristan. And he took their beloved bodies away with him upon his ship to Tintagel, and by a chantry to the left and right of the apse he had their tombs built round. But in one night there sprang from the tomb of Tristan a green and leafy briar, strong in its branches and in the scent of its flowers. It climbed the chantry and fell to root again by Iseult's tomb. Thrice did the peasants cut it down, but thrice it grew again as flowered and as strong. They told the marvel to King Mark, and he forbade them to cut the briar any more. The good singers of old time, Berulle and Thomas of Bilt, Gilbert and Gottfried, told this tale for lovers and none other, and by my pen they beg you for your prayers. They greet those who are cast down, and those in heart, those troubled, and those filled with desire. May all herein find strength against inconstancy and despite and loss and pain and all the bitterness of loving. The END printed by Ballantyne, Hansen and Company at Paul's Work. Edinburgh end of the project Gutenberg ebook of the romance of Tristan and Isolde by M. Joseph Dyer end of this project Gutenberg ebook the romance of Tristan and Iseult. This file should be named 14244 h.htm or 14244 h.zip. This and all associated files of various formats will be found in http://www.gutenberg.net/1/4/4/14244/ produced by Jeffrey Krausiow. Updated editions will replace the previous one. The old editions will be renamed. Creating the works from public domain print editions means that no one owns a United States copyright in these works. So the Foundation, and you, can copy and distribute it in the United States without permission and without paying copyright royalties. Special rules, set forth in the general terms of use part of this license, apply to copying and distributing Project Gutenberg TM electronic works to protect the Project Gutenberg TM concept and trademark. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark and may not be used if you charge for the ebooks, unless you receive specific permission. If you do not charge anything for copies of this ebook, complying with the rules is very easy. You may use this ebook for nearly any purpose, such as creation of derivative works, reports, performances, and research. They may be modified and printed and given away. You may do practically anything with public domain ebooks. Redistribution is subject to the trademark license, especially commercial redistribution. Start. Full license. The full Project Gutenberg license. Please read this before you distribute or use this work to protect the Project Gutenberg TM mission of promoting the free distribution of electronic works by using or distributing this work or any other work associated in any way with the phrase Project Gutenberg. You agree to comply with all the terms of the full Project Gutenberg TM license. Available with this file or online at http://gutenberg.net/license. Section 1. General Terms of Use and Redistributing Project Gutenberg TM Electronic Works 1.a. By reading or using any part of this Project Gutenberg TM electronic work, you indicate that you have read, understand, agree to, and accept all the terms of this license and intellectual property, trademark/copyright agreement. If you do not agree to abide by all the terms of this agreement, you must cease using and return or destroy all copies of Project Gutenberg TM electronic works in your possession. If you paid a fee for obtaining a copy of or access to a Project Gutenberg TM electronic work, and you do not agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement, you may obtain a refund from the person or entity to whom you paid the fee as set forth in paragraph 1.e.8. 1b. Project Gutenberg is a registered trademark. It may only be used on or associated in any way with an electronic work by people who agree to be bound by the terms of this agreement. There are a few things that you can do with most Project Gutenberg TM electronic works, even without complying with the full terms of this agreement. See paragraph 1.c below. There are a lot of things you can do with Project Gutenberg TM electronic works if you follow the terms of this agreement and help preserve free future access to Project Gutenberg TM electronic works. See paragraph 1.e below. 1c. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the Foundation, or PGLAF, owns a compilation copyright in the collection of Project Gutenberg TM electronic works. Nearly all the individual works in the collection are in the public domain in the United States. If an individual work is in the public domain in the United States and you're located in the United States, we do not claim a right to prevent you from copying, distributing, performing, displaying, or creating derivative works based on the work as long as all references to Project Gutenberg are removed. Of course, we hope that you will support the Project Gutenberg TM mission of promoting free access to electronic works by freely sharing Project Gutenberg TM works in compliance with the terms of this agreement for keeping the Project Gutenberg TM name associated with the work. You can easily comply with the terms of this agreement by keeping this work in the same format with its attached full Project Gutenberg TM license when you share it without charge with others. Jeden kropka de. The copyright laws of the place where you're located also govern what you can do with this work. Copyright laws in most countries are in a constant state of change. If you are outside the United States, check the laws of your country in addition to the terms of this agreement before downloading, copying, displaying, performing, distributing, or creating derivative works based on this work or any other Project Gutenberg TM work. The Foundation makes no representations concerning the copyright status of any work in any country outside the United States. 1.e. Unless you have removed all references to Project Gutenberg. 1.e.1. The following sentence, with active links to or other immediate access to the full Project Gutenberg TM license must appear prominently whenever any copy of a Project Gutenberg TM work. Any work on which the phrase Project Gutenberg appears, or with which the phrase Project Gutenberg is associated, is accessed, displayed, performed, viewed, copied, or distributed. This ebook is for the use of anyone, anywhere at no cost, and with almost no restrictions whatsoever. You may copy it, give it away, or reuse it under the terms of the Project Gutenberg license included with this ebook or online at www.gutenberg.net1e.2. If an individual Project Gutenberg TM electronic work is derived from the public domain, does not contain a notice indicating that it is posted with permission of the copyright holder, the work can be copied and distributed to anyone in the United States without paying any fees or charges. If you are redistributing or providing access to a work with the phrase Project Gutenberg associated with or appearing on the work, you must comply either with the requirements of paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 or obtain permission for the use of the work and the Project Gutenberg TM trademark as set forth in paragraphs 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.3. If an individual Project Gutenberg TM electronic work is posted with the permission of the copyright holder, your use and distribution must comply with both paragraphs 1.e.1 through 1.e.7 and any additional terms imposed by the copyright holder. Additional terms will be linked to the Project Gutenberg TM license for all works posted with the permission of the copyright holder found at the beginning of this work. 1.e.4. Do not unlink or detach or remove the full Project Gutenberg TM license terms from this work, or any files containing a part of this work, or any other work associated with Project Gutenberg TM. 1.e.5. Do not copy, display, perform, distribute, or redistribute this electronic work, or any part of this electronic work, without prominently displaying the sentence set forth in paragraph 1.e.1 with active links or immediate access to the full terms of the Project Gutenberg TM license. 1.e.6. You may convert to and distribute this work in any binary, compressed, marked up, non-proprietary or proprietary form, including any word processing or hypertext form. However, if you provide access to or distribute copies of a Project Gutenberg TM work in a format other than plain vanilla ASCII, or other format used in the official version posted on the official Project Gutenberg TM website, www.gutenberg.net, you must, at no additional cost, fee, or expense to the user, provide a copy, a means of exporting a copy, or a means of obtaining a copy upon request of the work in its original plain vanilla ASCII or other form. Any alternate format must include the full Project Gutenberg TM license as specified in paragraph 1.e.1. 1.e.7. Do not charge a fee for access to, viewing, displaying, performing, copying, or distributing any Project Gutenberg TM works unless you comply with paragraph 1.e.8 or 1.e.9. 1.e.8. You may charge a reasonable fee for copies of or providing access to or distributing Project Gutenberg TM electronic works provided that you pay a royalty fee of 20% of the gross profits you derive from the use of Project Gutenberg TM works calculated using the method you already use to calculate your applicable taxes. The fee is owed to the owner of the Project Gutenberg TM trademark, but he has agreed to donate royalties under this paragraph to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Royalty payments must be paid within 60 days following each date on which you prepare or are legally required to prepare your periodic tax returns. Royalty payments should be clearly marked as such and sent to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation at the address specified in Section 4. Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. You provide a full refund of any money paid by a user who notifies you in writing or by email within 30 days of receipt that she does not agree to the terms of the full Project Gutenberg TM license. You must require such a user to return or destroy all copies of the works possessed in a physical medium and discontinue all use of and all access to other copies of Project Gutenberg TM works. You provide, in accordance with paragraph 1.f.3, a full refund of any money paid for a work or a replacement copy if a defect in the electronic work is discovered and reported to you within 90 days of receipt of the work. You comply with all other terms of this agreement for free distribution of Project Gutenberg TM works. 1.e.9. If you wish to charge a fee or distribute a Project Gutenberg TM electronic work or group of works on different terms than are set forth in this agreement, you must obtain permission in writing from both the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation and Michael Hart, the owner of the Project Gutenberg TM trademark. Contact the Foundation as set forth in Section 3 below. 1.f.1. Project Gutenberg volunteers and employees expend considerable effort to identify, do copyright research on, transcribe, and proofread public domain works in creating the Project Gutenberg TM collection. Despite these efforts, Project Gutenberg TM electronic works, and a medium on which they may be stored, may contain defects, such as but not limited to incomplete, inaccurate, or corrupt data, transcription errors, a copyright or other intellectual property infringement, a defective or damaged disk or other medium, a computer virus, or computer codes that damage or cannot be read by your equipment. 1.f.2. Limited warranty, disclaimer of damages, except for the right of replacement or refund described in paragraph 1.f.3. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, the owner of the Project Gutenberg TM trademark, and any other party distributing a Project Gutenberg TM electronic work under this agreement, disclaim all liability to you for damages, costs, and expenses, including legal fees. You agree that you have no remedies for negligence, strict liability, breach of warranty, or breach of contract, except those provided in paragraph F3. You agree that the Foundation, the trademark owner, and any distributor under this agreement will not be liable to you for actual, direct, indirect, consequential, punitive, or incidental damages, even if you give notice of the possibility of such damage. 1.f.3. Limited right of replacement or refund. If you discover a defect in this electronic work within 90 days of receiving it, you can receive a refund of the money, if any, you paid for it by sending a written explanation to the person you received the work from. If you receive the work on a physical medium, you must return the medium with your written explanation. The person or entity that provided you with a defective work may elect to provide a replacement copy in lieu of a refund. If you receive the work electronically, the person or entity providing it to you may choose to give you a second opportunity to receive the work electronically in lieu of a refund. If the second copy is also defective, you may demand a refund in writing without further opportunities to fix the problem. 1.f.4. Except for the limited right of replacement or refund set forth in paragraph 1.f.3. This work is provided to you STS within no other warranties of any kind, express or implied, including but not limited to warranties of merchantability or fitness for any purpose. 1.f.5. Some states do not allow disclaimers of certain implied warranties or the exclusion or limitation of certain types of damages. If any disclaimer or limitation set forth in this agreement violates the law of the state applicable to this agreement, the agreement shall be interpreted to make the maximum disclaimer or limitation permitted by the applicable state law. The invalidity or unenforceability of any provision of this agreement shall not void the remaining provisions. 1.f.6. Indemnity. You agree to indemnify and hold the Foundation, the trademark owner, any agent or employee of the Foundation, Anyone providing copies of Project Gutenberg TM electronic works in accordance with this agreement, and any volunteers associated with the production, promotion, and distribution of Project Gutenberg TM electronic works, harmless from all liability, costs, and expenses, including legal fees that arise directly or indirectly from any of the following which you do or cause to occur. A. Distribution of this or any Project Gutenberg TM work. B. Alteration, modification, or additions or deletions to any Project Gutenberg TM work. And C. Any defect you cause. Section 2. Information about the mission of Project Gutenberg TM. Project Gutenberg TM is synonymous with the free distribution of electronic works in formats readable by the widest variety of computers, including obsolete, old, middle-aged, and new computers. It exists because of the efforts of hundreds of volunteers and donations from people in all walks of life. Volunteers and financial support to provide volunteers with the assistance they need is critical to reaching Project Gutenberg TM's goals and ensuring that the Project Gutenberg TM collection will remain freely available for generations to come. In 2001, the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation was created to provide a secure and permanent future for Project Gutenberg TM and future generations. To learn more about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation and how your efforts and donations can help, see sections 3 and 4 and the Foundation webpage at http://www.pglaugh.org. Section 3. Information about the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. The Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation is a nonprofit 501(c)(3) educational corporation organized under the laws of the state of Mississippi and granted tax-exempt status by the Internal Revenue Service. The Foundation's EIN, or Federal Tax Identification Number, is 64-6221541. It's 501(c)(3). Letter is posted at http://pglaugh.org/fundraising. Contributions to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation are tax-deductible to the full extent permitted by U.S. federal laws and your state's laws. The Foundation's principal office is located at 4557 Mellon Drive, South Fairbanks, Alaska, 99712, but its volunteers and employees are scattered throughout numerous locations. Its business office is located at 809 North 1500 West, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84116-801-596-1887, email business@glaugh.org. Email contact links and up-to-date contact information can be found at the Foundation's website and official page at http://pglaugh.org for additional contact information. Dr. Gregory B. Newby, Chief Executive and Director, Newby@glaugh.org. Section 4. Information about donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation. Project Gutenberg TM depends upon and cannot survive without widespread public support and donations to carry out its mission of increasing the number of public domain and licensed works that can be freely distributed in machine-readable form accessible by the widest array of equipment, including outdated equipment. Many small donations, $1 to $5,000, are particularly important to maintaining tax-exempt status with the IRS. The Foundation is committed to complying with the laws regulating charities and charitable donations in all 50 states of the United States. Compliance requirements are not uniform, and it takes a considerable effort, much paperwork, and many fees to meet and keep up with these requirements. We do not solicit donations in locations where we have not received written confirmation of compliance. To send donations or determine the status of compliance for any particular state, visit http://pglaugh.org. While we cannot and do not solicit contributions from states where we have not met the solicitation requirements, we know of no prohibition against accepting unsolicited donations from donors in such states who approach us with offers to donate. International donations are gratefully accepted, but we cannot make any statements concerning tax treatment of donations received from outside the United States. U.S. laws alone swamp our small staff. Please check the Project Gutenberg web pages for current donation methods, and addresses. Donations are accepted in a number of other ways, including checks, online payments, and credit card donations. To donate, please visit http://pglaugh.org/donate section 5. General information about Project Gutenberg TM Electronic Works. Professor Michael S. Hart is the originator of the Project Gutenberg TM concept of a library of electronic works that could be freely shared with anyone. For 30 years, he produced and distributed Project Gutenberg TM ebooks with only a loose network of volunteer support. Project Gutenberg TM ebooks are often created from several printed editions, all of which are confirmed as public domain in the US unless a copyright notice is included. Thus, we do not necessarily keep ebooks in compliance with any particular paper edition. Most people start at our website, which has the main PG search facility, http://www.gutenberg.net. This website includes information about Project Gutenberg TM, including how to make donations to the Project Gutenberg Literary Archive Foundation, how to help produce our new ebooks, and how to subscribe to our email newsletter to hear about new ebooks.